Good evening. It's Tuesday, December 27th, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show, Post. Live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We'll provide our opinions, positions on the hottest topics in sports this evening. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined this evening by three of my partners in crime. What's going on, J3? How you doing this evening, brother?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Feeling good. Let's go.
What's up, J3?
Yay, yay.
We got the professor in the building. How you feeling this evening, Professor J?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, man. Still basking off the glory of that boxing special that we did the other day, man. Y'all brought the fire. Good to see J3. Good to see Sense. Man, let's get it going, y'all. Praise the Lord.
And last but definitely not least, Sense is in the building. What's going on, partner?
You on mute. You on mute.
Oops. I said what's good. What's up, J3? What's up, Big Reg? What's up, Professor? Happy to be in the house talking sports with y'all. Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Before we get started in the actual show, we do have a couple of announcements again this evening. Starting next Tuesday, January 3rd, first Tuesday in 2023, the show will be changing its start time from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. for our Tuesday live show. Again, same great show, just an hour later, still going to be bringing you the heat. And secondly, as the professor mentioned, yesterday we dropped our annual Boxing Year in Review show. We had Queensbury Tony in the house. Professor J was on there. And we talked about the year in women's boxing, which was fire. We talked about the hottest weight divisions in boxing, the 135-pound lightweight division, 147-pound welterweight division. Are we ever going to see Spence and Crawford? Check us out, see what we say. We talked about the big boys, the kings, the heavyweight divisions. We even dropped you off what we call the best of the best. Some people call it pound for pound list, and the up-and-comers to look for in 2023. So that's available on all our major platforms. Check out our Facebook page. Check out our YouTube channel. Just search Positional Sports Talk Show. Had to break it out into a two-part show. So check out parts 1 and 2 and let us know what you think. But again, we had fun yesterday doing that. And again, appreciate Queensbury Tony stopping by and dropping his knowledge. He's like me, a true boxing fan. That's really his only sport that he follows. So I appreciated the time to sit down and kick it with him last night. All right, fellas.
Oh, hey, Reg, cue the stop sign.
Okay.
You gotta let them know we crossed that century mark.
Yeah.
Let them know.
Yeah.
Yes. You gotta let them know.
Yeah.
That is absolutely right. I forgot about that. Post has been producing and putting out its own show on our own platform, over 100 episodes, which is huge in this world. So that's big deal.
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding me, Professor J.
Yes.
We in our 4th season, but 100 shows, 100% post production. So
tonight makes 101.
All right. All right. So this evening we're gonna give you some quick hits. Then, of course, we got to talk about Sense's favorite subject, the NBA. We're going to do the NFL Week 16. Professor's going to bless us with another post takes. And, of course, our final post of the evening. So, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Please sit back, relax, enjoy Post on the Positional Sports Talk Show. Positional Sports Talk Show channel. Sorry for the flood. Got me talking. You see, you brought that 100 show up, man. Got me all excited.
That's right.
Speaking about exciting, fellas, we got to start off by giving big ups and congrats to the man himself, Alex Ovechkin, the grade 8. He passed Gordie Howe, becoming second on the all-time leading NHL goal scoring record at 802. He's actually playing again tonight. He's only got one person in front of him, and that is the great one, Mr. Wayne Gretzky, who was so bad, he not only led the NHL in all-time scoring, which encompasses goals and assists, but he's currently the leader in goals, which Ovechkin may catch him if he plays another couple of seasons. But he was also leading in NHL in assists. So that tells you he could do it all. So Ovi's my man, hell of a player, but Gretzky is still and always probably be the GOAT.
The great one.
The great one. Mm-hmm.
Ovi also set another NHL record, becoming having the most shots in NHL history. He had his 6,210th shot in the last game that he actually went in the second. He did it in only 1,309 games. So Ovi get the puck on the net. He ain't playing. The previous record holder was Ray Bourque, who had 6,209 shots, obviously, and he did it in 1,612 games. So Ovi did it in 300 less games to break the shooting record. So, as they say, Ovi is a scoring machine. He knows what he's good at. One thing I appreciate about Ovi, as he's gotten older, he's added the assist into his package. So now Ovi's averaging somewhere between 30 to 40 assists a season, as well as scoring 30 to 40, and in his great years, 50-plus goals. So shout out to Alexander Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals.
Great 8.
Is he the best athlete to play here in Washington, D.C.?
He's up there.
Food for thought.
Yeah. I mean, aside from John, it was John Wall for a minute, but then once he left, it was.
And I got to put Daryl Green up there too.
And Daryl Green.
Yeah, I would say yeah.
What about Art Monk?
Well,
Art Monk is there.
Debate. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting debate. It's an interesting debate. I know y'all not big into college recruiting, but I got to give a shout out to my boys. My boys did it. After crying last year, and I will say it, Nick Saban cried last year after Texas A&M had the #1 class and had their NIL collective. And when it went viral all last year, people were saying that Nick Saban was talking about other schools. No, Nick Saban was talking to his boosters that y'all got to get y'all act together. If y'all want us to continue doing what y'all want us to do, put the collective together so I can continue to compete for these best classes.
That's right.
And sure enough, Alabama has this collective. And what did they do? They topped Texas A&M's class from last year. National Signing Day was last week. University of Alabama held on to its #1 ranked class. They signed 3 more 5-star players last week alone. 2 of them were teammates out of Alabama, the 2 top players out of Alabama. And then the next day, they signed the second best cornerback in the country. So they got the #1 and #2 running back in the country coming in, the #1 safety coming in, the #2 cornerback coming in, the #1 defensive tackle in the country coming in, a top 5 defensive end coming in, a top 5 quarterback coming in. All total, they have 23 of the ESPN 300 signed, sealed, and delivered.
Wow.
11 out of the top 30.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, we all knew that was an anomaly once. Like, Alabama stays at the top of the recruiting class. It's kind of like.
Yeah.
But are they going to play, though? That's the question. You get these players, but are they going to see some time on the field?
Well, they're going to have to earn it. When you go to Alabama, nothing's given to you. You got to earn your place. So you got to beat out the guys who were there, who are also 4- and 5-star players, to prove that you deserve that spot.
Right.
Of course, defending national champion and possibly 2-time national champion in a couple of weeks, Georgia came in #2. University of Miami did a big jump. They came in #3.
That was a surprise to me. Like, real quick, Big Rich, that was a surprise right there. Like, I mean, it's I don't want to get my hopes up, but it gives that like air of the being back. Stop it.
Like J3 said, they got to do it on the field.
They
show that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm kind of like.
Nothing about them.
Yeah.
Just talk about Michigan later. I'm with you there, but Miami.
The U will return.
One thing about Miami and Coach Cristobal, his 3 top gets were all on the offensive line. So he's going to fix that offensive line. So
Yeah, we shall see.
Oklahoma moved up. They were like 6. They moved up to number 4. And Texas, of course, with Arch Manning and his boys coming in, were number 5. Notre Dame slipped a little bit because they lost a couple of guys. One guy who was verbally committed went somewhere else, and then another one. But they still ended up 6. And that's number 6 recruiting class at Notre Dame is huge. That shows you how much of a recruiter the head coach of this team are. So shout out to all
Mr.
of them.
Freeman. That's right.
For you basketball fans, if you're into NCAA college basketball, you can really start to pay attention coming around this weekend, because both the men's and women's basketball really start kicking into conference play, and that's when you really start seeing who's good, who's not. We've had a bunch of holiday tournaments, and you got the this big school plays this big school, but it's kind of a one-of because they're in different conferences. Now you're really going to see how these teams are. So for you basketball fans, not only do you have the NBA in full force, now you got college basketball getting ready to kick in. And lastly, in the quick hits, spend a few minutes on this. College football semifinals this weekend, fellas.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's Saturday. Got your 2 games. First game, number 3 TCU versus number 2 Michigan, 4 p.m. VRBO Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, Arizona. That's at, again, 4 p.m. Followed by number 4 Ohio State versus number 1 Georgia, 8 p.m. at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia.
Man.
All right.
Just
Who
imagine.
Like?
Just imagine. Well, I mean, we already know the TCU Michigan who I like. But wouldn't it be something if, and I ain't saying it's gonna happen, but if Ohio State somehow beat Georgia and if Michigan beat TCU and we had that rematch of Ohio State and Michigan in a national championship game, boy. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, as far as TCU and Michigan, I got Michigan and of course Georgia. So I think that's who's gonna be playing for the national title.
The only way that's going to happen is if Ohio State pulls out all the weapons that they have, can complete every pass that they throw, run for an average of 10 yards per carry, and still hope and pray that they're going to win the game. I don't think they're going to beat the big dogs. I mean, I would like to see Buckeyes win, but yeah, I don't see it. I definitely see it going Georgia and Michigan in the finals. What do you think, Professor Jay?
Talk about the waste of a playoff. I mean, they should just skip the Georgia, Michigan, and just I see both games being pretty much uncontested wins for Michigan and for Georgia in these games. The game that I'm interested in, and I know Big Reg is too, at that Alabama versus Kentucky K-State. That's the one, to me, that's going to be the better game of Saturday. I'm already just looking forward to the national championship. So kudos, since you'll be playing Georgia for the national title. But TCU, I really don't think they should have been in there. I just don't. I mean, I don't think that they got exposed, but yet they still got in. And everybody can pull up any argument they want to. I just think that some other team should be there. I could even see the argument for USC over TCU to be in there, but in Ohio State, they lost to Michigan, so I'm not mad about that they made it in. But fellas, we already gonna see a 1 versus 2.
What was interesting to me was how the playoff committee tried, in my opinion, their best to make it extremely hard for Georgia to repeat. Because, as you said, TCU lost in their championship game. They were number 3. They lost and didn't move. I can see you saying TCU still had a great year, but they lost and dropped in 1 spot to 4 and still keep them in the college football player. So it should have been Georgia TCU, in my opinion. But they didn't want to put Michigan, Ohio State back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now
So
that would have been lovely.
Exactly. That would have been the game right there. That's what I'm saying.
Lovely. Yeah.
Like part 2, that would have been like Hagelin, Hearns, and all that. Like
that would have been lovely.
And what that does is makes it hard for Georgia because they're going to have to play 2 different games, assuming Georgia beats Ohio State, which is up tempo, more finesse, but they got a bunch of weapons all around them. And then you beat them, assuming again Michigan should overpower TCU with just their power and their running game, how they play. Then you got to go to a more of a SEC type of physical football team in 9 days. That's tough.
However, if you're supposed to be the best of the best, it shouldn't matter who you up against.
Right.
We know that's how you roll, J3.
Lace them up and let's go. Lace them up and let's go.
Yeah, so it should be interesting. And Professor, I agree with you. Interesting game. I didn't put it on there. I wasn't going to say it since you brought it up. There is a 12 o'clock game Saturday that Alabama plays. And what's interesting is Alabama didn't have one player opt out of that game.
That's good.
So they got 2 potential top 5 picks that are going to be playing in basically a meaningless bowl game.
They about to punish
finish things off the right way. So shout out to Alabama. I would definitely be watching. If I have my way, I'm going to be watching football all afternoon, but we'll see how that works out.
I mean, this is like the most wonderful time of the year for you, Big Rich.
Inside joke.
Yeah, they don't understand.
Yeah, so we will see. All right, fellas, let's move on to this NBA.
Do we have to?
We had the Christmas games on Sunday. The NFL did them a solid since there was no big college football games. They put most of their Sunday games on Saturday. They only had 3 games on Sunday, and 2 of them were dogs. So they really only had 1 good game. So the NBA got to shine a little bit. But the games weren't all that good. Some of the games had some interesting subplots, but there was really only 1 really good game of the 5 on that. No, the best game of the day, most people probably didn't watch because it was late at night. It was the Suns versus the Nuggets that went to overtime. The Nuggets ended up beating the Suns 128-25, and your boy Jokic did it. People can hate. The man can't jump over 3 inches, but he still does his thing. 2-time MVP. He dropped 41, 15, and 15 on the Suns to win the game.
Stretch Mark 5. He's the Stretch Mark 5, as Jacoby calls him.
Yeah,
but he does
15 and 15.
He's effective. He reminds me of a Tim Duncan. Like Tim Duncan, to the outside eye, doesn't look like he does much, but he's effective and he can do so many things. That's who Jokic reminds me of.
Yeah, good. In the early game, you had the 76ers play the Knicks. The Knicks jumped out to an early start, and then you saw the class of the 76ers. But did y'all hear the rumor that somebody in James Harden's, because it had to come out of James Harden's camp, that he's considering, which is funny to me. I'm sure you considering. Houston ain't considering after what you did to them.
Right.
His camp is considering when he opts out after this year because he took a short contract that he might go back to Houston because he preferred the lifestyle, aka he wants to get back to his
boy.
Make it rain, baby. Make it rain.
It's extracurricular activities.
Right. So meaning that's where he wants to retire.
Yeah.
Ain't no good strip clubs in Philly.
He could join Lemon Pepper Lou down in Atlanta.
Nah, there's some spots out there they can take him in Philly and South Jersey. There's no doubt about that. But he ain't got that MVP status jersey up on the wall like he does down in Houston.
Waste of money. Waste of money.
Yeah. Since do we need to talk about the second game?
We don't.
Okay.
Move on.
Okay. I will say I gotta give Bron his props. What is it? 8 straight games, a 30-point score.
You gonna stop hating J3. You gonna appreciate greatness.
At 38.
Yes, he will be 38 on Friday. And yes, the man is he's doing a lot.
Averaging 29 points a game at 38, something that's never been done before.
and they still losing. Elaborate
So
on that.
what? I'm
asking a question.
not gonna elaborate on it. There's no need to elaborate on it. I'm just gonna focus on this man and his road to surpassing Kareem. Like the Lakers situation right now
focus.
is what it is.
But
Hopefully
if
it
he's
changes.
greatness, isn't he supposed to elevate his teammates?
Well, if he has help, but see, that's upper management. See, making me go into something I don't want to go into.
Patrick
so we
Beverly
gonna move on.
supposed to elevate that fool. Okay.
Right? Ain't no, yeah. So I mean, it is what it is.
AD hurt. See, we try to stay away from that.
AD always hurt.
Right.
See, why y'all doing this?
They call him Mr. Glass.
I'm sorry. We're gonna leave it alone. We're gonna leave it alone. We're gonna move on to the third game.
Thank you.
Bucks versus Boston.
Instead of a
I
jersey,
think
he
this-
should have a candy stripe shirt on. As a nurse.
Y'all wrong.
Yeah, see, that's wrong. He
Y'all
can't.
wrong.
It's been freak injuries too. He can't help it, man. Whenever he's been
Big
doing
Reg,
so
you can
good.
skip over that next game.
Yeah, I just think Bucks and Boston. I think both of them are in a little funk. I think they just trying to get through the Christmas season and get to the new year, and then I think both of these teams will kick it back into gear
Oh yeah.
once we get past the MLK Day games and all that and get ready. Because right now they it's just a little
That's
tired.
what Milwaukee does. Milwaukee is like they cruise and then they
Yeah.
start to ramp it up.
And
Yeah,
Chris
they still
Middleton-
made me mad. Sunday
And Chris
night.
Middleton hurt again, something else. But that happens when you come off an injury, you do a little too much, and you end up hurting something else. So they still fine. But the funniest game of the day was what the Warriors did.
Lord, without Steph,
Yeah,
without
all that
Steph,
chirping.
Oh,
All that
my-
chirping.
your boys, J3, your Warriors.
that
Hey,
chirping.
listen. Jordan Poole is showing you that he is learning from one of the greatness.
Mm-hmm.
He is learning to take it to him hard and don't stop till the end of the damn game. I love it.
And that's what Ja Morant gonna have to learn. Stop all that chirping and talking. You know,
Let your actions play on the court.
Yeah, exactly.
They even got Clay riled up. You know Clay don't
Oh
talk.
yeah,
Right.
Clay barely say a
Let's
word
see.
on the court.
yeah.
Clay got a T for talking. Come
And
on.
see, you know it's on. You know it's on when Clay get mad. When Clay got mad at who's that dude that he told to hold that when they won the championship. What's my dude from Boston, I think, that was talking all that smack. And Clay basically got back at him when they won the
The light skinned Bama
championship. Yeah,
Williams.
Williams, right.
Yeah, so Clay showing his little more of his saltier side, but yeah, and you brought up a good point, J3. During the game, you saw at least 2 times they showed it on the broadcast when Steph was in Jordan Poole's ear, pulling him over to the side, telling him, no, do this, do that, because they're trying to figure out, okay, we got to integrate some of these young guys and get them up to speed. We can't just rely on the starting 5 and Dante DiVincenzo only. We need these young guys to play. Even they're trying to get Wiseman up to speed, which is, I don't understand that. He was the number 1 player in high school. And ever since he went through that crazy issue about the recruiting stuff in Memphis, he's just never caught back on, gotten to swinging basketball. But yeah, that was a good win for the Warriors, letting especially the Memphis Grizzlies know who's talking that trash. Did y'all see Ja Morant's interview with Malika Andrews during the week? Where Malika asked him, when you look at the NBA, who do you see and say, yeah, we're going to have to go through them if we want to win a championship? And he said the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at him and she said, you don't mean anybody in the West? He said, nah, I'm good in the West.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm talking about?
That's the
All
fault
that.
of the
All
youth.
that.
Every time they get all full of themselves and get cocky and
Now, don't get it twisted. Ja did get off. He scored some points and some assists.
Whoa, but they lost. Isn't that
Yeah,
what you
that's
just
what
said about LeBron?
That's what I was getting ready to say. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say.
They
You
lost.
got to elevate your team, and he's not doing it. He's not doing it.
Yeah.
Speaking of somebody elevating the team, I don't know how he's doing it because he's not talking a lot, but I got to give some props to KD and how he's A, kept the Brooklyn Nets from totally cratering, and now they're the hottest team in basketball.
Right,
They on a
ascended.
9-game
Yeah.
winning streak,
Woo.
and they running through people now. They actually playing defense, which is crazy.
But it's not unheard of because we already know they got a good nucleus. It's all about them playing together. I mean, once they got Kyrie to figure out that he is a team player and get everyone involved, they would be the most dominant team in the East. They could be.
Right. So basically, everybody's like, it's about damn time.
Exactly.
And what we always say, when it matters, Kyrie will not be there. I don't care if it's injury, suspension, he just feeling himself. Something gonna happen in May, and he not gonna be there. Watch what I tell you.
Sound like AD, don't it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh God! I hope AD come back. I hope AD come back in like a few weeks.
J3 throwing shots today. That's just wrong.
Oh man!
In the East, I also like the way the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing. Even though they did lose to Brooklyn last night, the Cavaliers are playing good basketball, especially considering they just put that team together. So, shout out. In the Western Conference, nobody wants to give them credit again.
The Pelicans.
But the Nuggets got the number 1 seed in the Western Conference right now. And they starting to integrate Jamal Murray back into the game. But Jokic had he was actually trying to really let Jamal do his thing and kind of sacrifice some of his scoring in the beginning of the season. That's why they look. Now he's starting to play his normal game. And like, Jamal, you just got to figure it out. And whenever Porter decides that he's going to play for more than 2 games without sitting out, then we can really be a good team. But
second round at best, as always with the Nuggets. Second round. I don't see them going past. Because something always, either it'll be injury or there'll be a team more hungrier than them. I just don't. I mean, I'll give them props for doing what they're doing right now, but I don't see championship with them.
Wow.
I hear you. And Pelicans are right behind them, only a half game behind.
That's my squad.
Zion missed the last 2 games. They say he should be back this week, but he missed the last 2 games from the protocol. People, don't forget, not only is the flu out there and it's bad this year, there's still COVID out there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, just saying a little bit more about the Pelicans. I love how this young squad is coming together and like even behind BI is coming to like his own as a burgeoning superstar. I could see that potential in him. Like,
but he's been hurt most of this season. He hadn't played. He's only played a few games. He hadn't played last month.
Mm-hmm.
He's been injured.
Mm-hmm.
You got McCollum. You got what's my man? Grand Theft Auto, Mr. Alvarado.
Yeah,
they're playing together. Is my point. And
yes,
and
absolutely.
Like
and it seems like everybody's figuring it out. And with Ingram not playing, I think that gave them a chance to actually integrate Zion more into ball handling and doing some things. So it's going to be interesting to see how they put that back together when Ingram gets back together. But yeah, they're playing good ball. The Grizzlies are going to be trouble for anybody. They're not going anywhere. I can't believe in the Clippers because I can't believe in it too.
Second round at best. Let me say this about the Clippers. They are the team of almost. Because it's like almost got to the conference finals, almost got to the championship. It's like you hype them up, and then they always fall short. Kawhi get on load management.
Nucleus of players that can't stay healthy.
Sound like Phoenix. Oops, did I say
can't stay healthy?
Well, Phoenix issue, besides CP3 not staying healthy, and now as a matter of fact,
Devin Booker hurt.
Devin Booker tried to play and re-injured his hamstring. That's not good. But I think Phoenix's big issue is that DeAndre Ayton situation. We thought, that since he got his bag, that it would calm down. They was beefing this week.
Mikal Bridges and him,
So I'm not sure. They can't trade Ayton until like the end of January, but he might be a gots to go kind of guy. Even though you just gave him all the money, if he gonna be pouting and hurting the chemistry of the team, so that's gonna be interesting to see.
you have someone new at the helm as far as ownership, so that'll be interesting to see what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, a few teams have went into a little lull. I think they was thinking about Christmas and all that stuff. So you get them through the new year, and then I think they will start picking it up once it gets to the MLK birthday celebration games that they have. Then you got the All-Star game in a few weeks after that, and then they kick it into high gear. So NBA should be really good, and we'll be able to talk a lot about that over the next few weeks.
I would just say this before we move on. Keep an eye open for possible like moves being made in the coming weeks to months. As far as
who you got somebody in mind? Got somebody in mind?
Well, you know, I see it. I've heard a couple players trying to be like John Collins. I'm not talking about with the Lakers. I'm just talking about NBA as a whole. It'd be nice if he pulled the trigger, but that's another story, a subject for another day.
All right. Let's move on to NFL before y'all you let y'all leave Sense alone.
I got you,
Sense. I got you, Sense.
Big Ranch. Y'all gonna leave me alone. I ain't get on your Bucks, Shay, but go ahead.
All right. Let's move on to the NFL. Philly been elite all year, fellas. Philly ain't elite without Jalen Hurts. Unfortunately, that was made very obvious in their last game. And we'll talk about the game in a second, but their whole team changed. The defense had to play more. Their running game got half the yards that they normally do because you're taking that Jalen running the ball option out of the team. And then they had another major injury. They lost their right tackle, Lane Johnson, all-pro right tackle. And they talking about a tendon in his abdomen that he tore and that he's supposed to come back. Hey, I don't know about y'all, but a 300-plus man that's launching into another man, core is a big part of your. How you going to play with a torn tendon in your abdomen?
Yeah,
so
it's tough.
Well, it all depends on how determined he wants to get to the next level and get that trophy.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. The 49ers are still up there again, and then the AFC, my leads haven't changed. Dallas is still the only other Super Bowl contender. Everybody else just playoff teams. But man, we got to talk about some of these injuries. And I'm going to save the worst for last. I already told you about Lane Johnson. Cincinnati Bengals left tackle, La'el Collins, former Cowboy, who just came to Cincinnati to help show up that poor offensive line. He tore his ACL and MCL. He done for the season. That's going to be a problem. Now, we saw that Joe Burrow dealt without having a good offensive line last year, so hopefully they can fix some things out. But that's going to change their equation a little bit. But the biggest and worst injury news, and it kind of explains what happened in his past game. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is back in concussion protocol.
Wow.
And what's crazy, somebody texted during the game that Tua hit his head. He was tackled, and the same kind of play that he was knocked out on where a defensive player grabbed him and kind of whipped him and spent him around, and he hit the back of his head. He's in a concussion protocol again. So on a serious note, fellas, I need y'all to kick it to me. Should the Dolphins just shut Tua down for the rest of the season? Because this is the third concussion or head trauma that's had symptoms in 3 months.
Well, it's a question of should they or will they? Should they? Yes, but will they? Probably not, especially if Tua's saying, I'm good, I can play. Because like right now, the Dolphins are not in playoffs.
Yeah, here's where the player has to do himself a solid. Because if you're taking too many concussions, and now there's no question now, the research has been done, CTE is out there, all the things have been done, movies, research, papers, books, everything is out there. Players now have to start saying, look, if I'm having too many issues with concussions, not only should I shut myself down now, but I need to think seriously about my future and how I want that to look. You know, if I'm going to be a family man, if I want quality of life, things of that nature, how much money is enough for you to say I'm going to walk away and open up the door to the next area or step of my life? Because this is very serious. He reminds me of Fred Davis when he kept having concussions and everything. And finally, he was out of the league because he could not stay healthy. He could not stay from getting concussed. And this goes all the way back to his college years. And then we've seen every year a young player hangs it up because they're like, look, I don't want to do this to my brain, to my body anymore. And they hang them up and people are all, up in arms. Like, how could they do it? Because players need to start thinking about their future after this game. Yeah. And now you understand, like Big Red said, why he threw those weird, questionable interceptions, right? Because we're like, where was he throwing the ball? Because he couldn't process.
Right.
Yeah, it just made him a little off. And in a game of precision where you have to fit a ball in a tight window, if you just a little off or things are just a little delayed, and I was like, it didn't look right. It couldn't figure it out. Right. But during the games, as I said, somebody texted, they need to check on Tua. He hit his head again. But the defensive player, as soon as he tackled him, the defensive player reached his hand up and pulled Tua right up. So Tua didn't get a chance to lay on the ground and, really take the brunt of the blow because he was pulled back up and he walked off because I was last play. So
you have to wonder, what is his family saying to him? Because they have to be in his ear telling him to sit down. I mean, you would think they would.
But it's hard telling somebody that, one, who loves the game, and two, like feels like they're on the verge of accomplishing something big. I mean, yeah, unfortunately.
Not even. If that was my son, I'd be like,
I got two names for y'all: Junior Seau. Need I say more?
Yeah. And what you were saying, Professor, about the player needs to look out for himself. I got to give Tua credit. Tua self-reported that he was having symptoms because, again, he didn't stumble anything. He was just obviously something was wrong going on. So, but I don't think Tua will be the guy who says I'm not going to play, because all the stuff he went through to try to prove that he's the number one quarterback for Miami and he can be a franchise quarterback. And now they, like Sid said, they're on the verge of a playoff run. They just missed the playoffs last year. Tua's going to try to play.
Right.
I think they're going to need to keep Tua from himself.
Yeah, but he's not going to do the team no good if he's constantly getting concussions and can't be on the field.
Yeah, that's the job for Mike McDowell to figure out. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't even think I think that's something above his level.
Mr. Ross.
This has got to be the GM and the owner making the decision, because the coach is a first-year coach. He's going to say the medical people say he can play, so let's play. I even think the NFL might say, hey, fellas, y'all remember what happened last time where he was what we thought was just ding, wasn't bad, and then the next week we had to stretch him off the field. So it's sad.
When you talk about ownership, it's just, again, the owner might feel the same as the coach, because especially playoffs mean more revenue. So he might be.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Shout out to future Hall of Famer, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, J.J. Watt. He announced today that this will be his last season. He did it in a nice way. And he popped it on social media, had his baby in his arm. He was like, this is my new baby's first NFL game, and this will be my last home game. So shout out to J.J. Watt. He did his thing. made the Watt name big, and now his brother TJ is carrying it on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And thankfully, fellas, we got the second head coach fired. I've been saying for weeks how this man still had a job, but the Denver Broncos finally put Coach Hackett out of his misery. Coach, I was telling my daughter when he had a quote, we weren't prepared for this game. I said, oh, he's saying fire me.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wanted himself fired. Yeah, with that
Mhm.
quote.
He was like, just get me out of here. I don't want to deal with Russell Wilson and all his stuff.
Wasting
This
all
is
that
a
talent.
mess.
Wasting
Let's
all
just
that
go.
talent.
I mean, dang, man, it's bad to be a Russ. Let me tell you.
Mm.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, the Russes are having a rough go of these days.
Mm.
Oh, man.
So, all right. Professor, I got to give you boys some more love again. I think their horseshoe's going to run out. But your boy Kirk
Kirk is doing it.
has won 11 straight
You like that?
single score games.
You like that?
I
His
mean,
nickname should be the comeback kid.
You like that?
NFL record, the Vikings are 11-0 in one score
That's
games.
right. Put them up. Put them up. 11.
So if you want to beat them, you got to beat them down like Dallas
them
did,
down.
like the Eagles did. You got to
Yeah.
beat them down. If you leave it close,
They like the
You
Undertaker,
trouble.
baby.
You can't leave no opening for them to come back. Cause
That's
I mean,
right. They like the Undertaker. They be rising up.
yeah.
But think about it. They have a good team on offense and defense.
yeah.
If they shut you down and you don't outscore, hey, you
Hey,
say what
Reg,
you
they
want,
got
bro.
offensive weapons, big
Right.
I
They-
say offense, their defense is still a little suspect. They make some big plays every now and then. Patrick Peterson will pop up every now and then, but they don't
Yeah,
have
they
the defenses that they
opportunists.
used to have. But
Yeah.
yeah, their offense. I mean, Justin Jefferson is on track to break the all-time single-season receiving yards record, which is held by the man Calvin Johnson, Megatron. So I mean, he doing some crazy things. He passed anytime you pass Randy Moss
right.
Yeah,
in a
but you,
record, you're doing
but
some things.
I mean, I hear what you're saying as far as the stats goes, but you also got to take in consideration they got more games that they're playing, so you can't really. I mean, he's definitely catching the ball and he's getting the yardage. But if you got more games, he should surpass Calvin Johnson because you're playing more games. You got more of an opportunity.
Well, he can catch him this week, and then that'll be the same number of games.
Well, that's what he needs to do then, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Yeah, and he broke Randy Moss's record in one less game.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
Well, I shout out to Kirk, man. He's definitely, even he's surpassing expectations. People still saying, the team is winning this.
I've been saying he could do it all along.
No, not your I'm talking about talking heads expectations, not
Okay.
talking heads outside of us expectations.
Yeah, that's
People have been
crazy.
down on Kirk Cousins.
Well, let's just see if he can do it in the playoffs. How about that?
I hear you. Yes,
Okay.
that's where it counts. That's where it counts. Speaking about, let's see if they can do it in the playoffs. The Cowboys, those Cowboy fans was all, we beat the Eagles and all that. I don't mean to rain on the parade. And before I do that, I got to give shout out
4
to Dak.
turnovers.
Dak did his thing after throwing a stupid
Mm,
interception that turned into a pick six early in the game.
that's what
That
that
had
do.
them down 10-0. That after that went 25 out of 32, ended up with 347 yards and 3 TDs. So Dak did his thing. But when you only beat the Eagles, who are playing without Jalen Hurts,
Gardner Minshew of all
40
people.
to 34, and it took them to turn the ball over 4 times for you to get that. That's a problem.
They
That
losing the
means
same
Jacksonville hung 40 on them. The Eagles with a backup QB hung 34 on them with 4 turnovers. If they didn't, 2 of those turnovers were in the red zone. So just imagine if they just kick field goals. They get another 40 hung on them. So
Man, San Fran gonna have it. If
Big
they face
Red.
San Fran in the playoffs, they gonna have a field day with them.
Mm.
Hey, fellas, if the safety wasn't smoking crack on that T.Y. Hilton 52-yard bomb, Dallas would not have won that game. Even with 4 turnovers, Philly still had that game in the bag, but on like what, 3rd and 32 or something like that.
Yeah.
They left T.Y. Hilton. That was crazy. That was the difference in the game right there. Dallas is still those dudes that's going to let you down. So all you Cowboys fans out there, ride high now. But as soon as you get in the playoffs, and I want them to face Kirk and the Vikings in the first round of the playoffs so they can avenge that loss. So
Stephen, they say, just wait. Just wait. Just wait.
Yep.
They gonna show you who they are. You know they are.
Y'all,
They will. They will. They revert back to the mean every year.
Yeah. Hey, fellas, quietness is kept and people aren't paying attention.
Jacksonville.
Patrick Mahomes might break the yardage record this year in passing.
Man,
and he's already got over 40 TDs, and he lost his best wide receiver.
He's playing playground ball with these teams, man. It's like he makes it look effortless. Like he's genuinely having fun on this field, and you can tell every time. Yeah, I can see Kansas City
spreading it around.
Because
that dude Pachenko, that's wearing number 10 now.
Nice.
Some of the moves he was making, I was like, it's Cheetah back in their uniform.
Right.
He had a nice little piece, man. I like him. I like the rookie a lot.
So
they using everybody.
Do you think KFC is going to be the I mean, Kansas City is going to be the team to win in the AFC this year.
KFC. You hungry, bro? You hungry?
Somebody hungry.
Chicken. Favorite looking good.
Trust and believe. I would not be going there. That's for sure.
I heard that.
The Chiefs' problem is the one team that has their number. Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
As long as they can figure out the replacement of the left tackle, Cincinnati Bengals still going to be a problem.
For some reason, I just feel like my quarterback and them Bills gonna make it happen this year.
I can see Buffalo like
Bills Mafia. Let's see it. Let's see it.
Well, I mean, that's the game of the week this week.
Yes, sir.
Cincinnati versus the Bills. So that's gonna be the game of the week coming up this weekend.
Predictions. Who y'all got?
Cincinnati versus the Bills. I'm gonna go Bills.
Big Red, holla at me.
Monday night, Cincy beats the Bills at home.
What?
Even with them still trying to figure out their line, you still give it to Cincy.
The Bills gonna exploit that line. They gonna exploit that line.
You know why? Josh Allen threw 2 more bad interceptions this past week. The Bills won.
I think he got a concussion.
You wrong.
I'm sorry.
You wrong. That ain't funny. You wrong. But I mean, you threw 2 interceptions to the Bears defense. Were they trading away all their good defensive players? He does that once against Cincinnati, and they're not going to recover.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of the Bears, I would actually kind of say beware as far as the Vikings against those Bears, because they playing pretty good ball and they could be some like giant killers. You shake your head, but Justin Fields, man, has been balling.
Justin Fields is the only person that you gotta be concerned about with the Bears. No one else is a threat.
Yeah, since he hurt his shoulder, he's not running as much, which is changing their game. So I'm not worried about that. Congratulations to the Ravens. It was one of the ugliest games to watch. But they beat the struggling Falcons without Lamar. But that win got them a playoff berth, which is something they didn't do last year. So, but
congrats to the Ravens.
Hey, Big Reg, Baltimore special teams is disturbing me right now. They allowed Justin Tucker to get a field goal block. Was it one or two?
That's 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row.
And I'm like, and that's what Jim Harbaugh is usually known for, making sure they have solid special teams. And that's bothering me with that game because they don't look crisp. I know Lamar isn't there, but they should be playing a lot better.
I'm gonna say this: Ravens football is always ugly football. It's like it's never.
But they had defense though, right?
Yeah. It was always in the trenches. Like they pulled the win out.
It's uglier now, though. You can see the difference. Their offense is really, quite frankly, offensive without Lamar.
Mhm.
They don't even look like they run an NFL offense without Lamar.
They ain't pounding the ball like they used to. Nope.
So it's crazy. Yeah.
I
The Chargers also, first time in many years, they got to win, beat the Colts. The Colts are horrible,
Yes.
but you can
Trash
finally put Justin
versus
Herbert
trash.
in the playoffs, and now we get to see what Herbert can do in the playoffs. So
Austin Eckler.
I'm good on them. I'm actually more excited about Jacksonville and what they've been doing as of recent.
yeah, with the Texans lost, the Texans have totally fallen apart. So Jacksonville actually has the lead in the
You mean
AFC
the
South.
Titans.
I mean the Titans, pardon me. Yeah, the
Mhm.
Texans been falling apart, even though they beat the Titans. The Texans beat the
Mhm.
Titans. That's why it's on my mind.
Right.
But yeah, the Titans are falling apart. It's gonna come down to week
Yes.
18 when Jacksonville plays the Titans. The winner of that game wins the division, but neither one of them gonna do anything in the
They're not.
in the
I'm just
playoffs.
happy they got into the playoffs.
I got a question for y'all though. Which team would you rather face? Would you rather face Jacksonville or would you rather face Detroit?
Ooh, good question. I would
Both
say
of
Detroit.
them on a winning streak
They
right
on a
now.
winning streak, yeah.
Both teams on a winning streak.
Well, based on what Detroit did this past weekend, I'd rather follow Detroit because Detroit allowed the Carolina Panthers to rush for 320 yards against them
Yeah.
and dominate
Yeah, I'd
them.
rather play Detroit.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can dominate
Looking
their
at coaching.
defense.
Mhm.
And so you just got to
I'm not so
outscore.
sure. I was looking at coaching Dan Campbell. It's just something about him like that makes players want to.
Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, my man, and he turned a dumpster fire team, more dumpster fire than the Lions, around. And that team is now competing on a different level where they would be scary against anybody. I'm not scared of Detroit. I understand what they've done and what he's been able to do, but I'm not scared of Detroit.
Mm.
Last question on the football before we talk about the intriguing games and then get up out of here. Steelers 7-8, beat the Raiders. 2 more games. They gonna play most likely the Lamarless Ravens this week, and then the Browns.
I think the Steelers just have freaking luck because they always, no matter how horrid they play, they always find their way back to 8-8 or like
Hey.
somehow.
Hey, come on, Sense. Despite all that
That's
chatter
coaching.
out there that
Oh,
Tom
it's
can't
coaching.
coach, he can
Yes, that's what-
coach.
I'm
Yeah.
giving them
He
their
can
props.
But look at
Professor. I'm giving
the
them their
Raiders.
props.
The Raiders have not had a successful season. I mean, so you would think Pittsburgh is going to beat the Ravens, right? And then the Browns, you don't know which team's going to show up with the Browns. I mean, they
I
have a
can't
nice
wait
squad.
to see the Commanders stuff a
They got a
hole
nice
in
squad.
Watson.
But I'm
Oh.
telling you, you never know
We hope-
which team's going to show
You know,
up.
Deshaun Watson's
hope.
only thrown 2 touchdowns since he's returned in 4
Yeah.
games.
He's been struggling.
I went
He's struggling.
Chase
He
Young
shouldn't
to
be
get
playing.
shots. Chase
The
Young
ball
to get-
don't lie.
Yeah.
Mm.
The ball
right.
don't lie.
So your week 17 intriguing games, your Thursday night game, you stuck with the Cowboys against the struggling Titans. That should be an easy win for the Cowboys, the way the Titans
Maybe.
are playing.
Maybe.
And then Sunday, no games this Saturday. Sunday, Browns at Washington, 1 p.m. Like Professor said, he wants to see them.
Chase
got
Young,
the
you better
Bears
get your
at the
man, buddy.
Lions.
Come on, J3. This is the first
Dolphins.
time all year I've been looking forward to a Commanders game.
Right, come on, man. And that's a rarity, J3. So let him have that.
Ooh.
The probably two-less Dolphins at the Patriots. Winner of that game still is alive for
That's
the playoffs.
now that's a
Losers
snore
out.
fest.
But both of them are still very much
Right.
alive in the playoffs, and
And
losers
no
probably
Tua?
out.
Who's the backup quarterback for the Dolphins?
It's going to be what is his name?
Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll look it up. Don't
Yeah,
worry about it.
he's been a backup that bounced around. He's been bouncing around. It's black QB. I can't think of it.
Jacoby Brissett?
No, not Jacoby Brissett.
No.
Jacoby Brissett's with Cleveland.
He's with Cleveland.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
The Eagles, the Saints at the Eagles, Panthers at Tampa Bay Bucks. The winner of that game, Tampa Bay wins. They win the NFC South. If
Come
the
on,
Panthers
Carolina.
win,
Come on.
then Carolina can win the NFC South.
Bridgewater. Teddy
Yeah,
Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Carolina.
Okay.
Teddy Two
Mhm.
Gloves.
Mm-hmm.
You got 49ers at the Raiders. The Jets, who are going
49ers.
back to Mike White at the Seahawks. The loser of that game is out of the playoffs.
Jets
Vikings and
out.
Packers. The Sunday night game is the Steelers at the Ravens. So we get to see what used to be one of the biggest games of the year, Sunday night.
Real quick, Big Reg.
Yes, sir.
We didn't speak on this much, but I kind of have a feeling about this Packers team now that they kind of starting to ascend a little bit. You think they have a chance of sneaking into that playoff spot?
Packers lose this week to the Vikings.
You think they lose? Okay.
Wow.
I do too.
Just think about it. The Packers' last two games are the Vikings and the Detroit Lions. Two teams that they've been abusing in that division for over a decade with Aaron Rodgers. You don't think they want to be the ones that bury him for good this year?
But I can see Aaron Rodgers in his own arrogant way, like trying to rally them troops up and be like, ain't no way in hell I'm about to lose to the Vikings. I think two teams
They
that we
ain't stopping
owned
Justin
for this
Jefferson.
long. Well, okay.
They ain't stopping Jefferson.
We didn't think that the Packers were going to beat the Dolphins, but
Yeah, but Tua got concussed and threw 3 crazy interceptions. That if he doesn't do that, they don't lose that game.
They would have won that game. Yeah.
All right. Professor, it's about almost time for us to get out of here, but I know you got some post takes for us. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right, so welcome to the end of 2022. So I put together a montage for everyone about the major upsets that we saw and endured in 2022. So now that we're at the end of the year, let me give you some of the best. Let's start at the top of the year, January 8th. Unranked Miami beats Duke on the road. Usually college basketball chaos dominates March, but the Hurricanes got a head start, beating number 2 Duke Blue Devils, can't stand them, 76-74 at the start of the 2021-22 season. The Hurricanes were predicted to finish 12th in the ACC, but got off to a hot 4-0 start in the conference. January 22nd of this year, the 49ers send those Packers packing with a 13-10 upset. Need we say more? March 9th, Texas State pitcher rubs it in with horns down gesture. The anti-Texas horns down gesture, normally a source of debate on the football field, made its way to the baseball diamond in 2022. Following a game-ending strikeout, Texas State closer Tristan Stivers decided to embarrass his in-state rivals even further. Texas went into the game ranked number 1 and had only one loss prior to that game. This was a 6-4 upset. Then we go to St. Peter's in March Madness, March 17th, 19th, and 25th. They strutted through the NCAA men's tournament. As you fellas know, they beat number 2 Kentucky, they beat number 7 Murray State, and they beat number 3 Purdue. They fell to UNC, who should have won the whole thing. Can't stand Kansas. Anyway, but they fell to UNC in the Elite 8. But what a run St. Peter's had in the tournament. May 6th and 7th, 19-year-old Carlos Alcaraz stuns 2 tennis greats. If you remember, Alcaraz beat Rafael Nadal and he beat Novak Djokovic at back-to-back. And that was the first time that this has been done, where a tennis player beat Nadal and Djokovic back-to-back matches on clay. So that was a big
at the age of 19, and he's now the number 1 player in the world.
That's right. That's right. May 7th, Rich Strike, we're going to horse racing, and jockey Sonny Leon win the Kentucky Derby. Who saw Rich Strike coming? Certainly not the odds makers who gave the thoroughbred just an 80-1 chance to win the race. The horse wasn't even supposed to be in the Derby in the first place. He got in when a competitor scratched the day before, but in the end, none of that mattered as Rich Strike barreled to the finish line, cementing himself in history. May 7th, Dmitry Bivol keeps his light heavyweight title. Bivol was the title holder, but he certainly wasn't the heavy favorite to Canelo Alvarez, boxing's pound for pound king, or so-called. I couldn't stop laughing at this. But leading up to the fight, Bivol expressed confidence that he would maintain his crown, and he was right. Delivering 12 rounds of textbook boxing, he won a unanimous decision. August 31st, Serena Williams extends her legendary career. Serena, who announced her retirement prior to the 2022 U.S. Open, is the indisputable women's tennis GOAT, but she wasn't expected to make it far in the tournament. After beating Danka Kavinic in her first match, she faced down stiffer competition in number 2, Annette Kontaveit, in the second round. It was a hard-fought match, but Williams proved she still had some fight left in her and took the match 7-6, 2-6, 6-2. Staying with tennis, September 5th, Rafael Nadal falls to American and local legend Frances Tiafoe. Rafael Nadal's 22-match win streak at Grand Slam tournaments was snapped by 22-seeded Frances Tiafoe at the U.S. Open in New York. Nadal had won 22 majors if we want to keep the theme going. With his win, Tiafoe became the youngest American since 2006 to reach the U.S. Open quarterfinal. And this one breaks my heart, fellas. September 10th, Marshall upsets Notre Dame in South Bend. We'll keep it moving after that. Also on September 10th, Appalachian State beat a top 10 opponent, and that time was number 6 Texas A&M Aggies. They held them to 186 yards of offense en route to a 17-14 win. October 15th, sorry, Big Reg, Tennessee beats Alabama 52-49. We'll keep it moving. November 14th, Washington Commanders stunned previously undefeated juggernaut Philadelphia Eagles 32-21 at the Link. This win sparked a 3-game win streak and 1 tie in 4 games. The win is the catalyst that has kept Washington's playoff hopes alive. And lastly, December 10th, Morocco sends Portugal home early. With a 1-0 win over European powerhouse Portugal, Morocco made history as the first ever African. Do I need to say that again? Because many people thought Morocco was in the Middle East. It's an African country right on the western tip across from Portugal and Spain. Open up a map. First ever African team to make the World Cup semifinals. The lone goal was scored with 42nd minute of the game. So know your history, know your geography. That concludes my wrap up of the biggest upsets this year. Back to you, Big Reg.
Appreciate that, Professor. You brought back some memories, some good ones and some bad ones about that.
Yeah.
That St. Peter's team was fun to talk about. I mean, considering a commuter school did all that damage, I felt bad that their coach ended up taking the job, but he got a job at his alma mater, so you kind of had to understand that. But that was a heck of a run for a commuter New Jersey school that went from where's St. Peter's to, oh, wow, they still winning. All right, fellas, it's time for our final post so we can get up out of here. J3, why don't you start us off? What you got for us?
Real quick, I just want to do a moment of silence for one of my Metropolitan Gentlemen Bowling Club members who passed away, Mr. Willie Pittman. He was 83 years old. He was still on the lanes. He just passed away the other day.
Rest in peace, sir.
Rest in peace, sir. Sense, what you got for me?
I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. May 2023 be as awesome and great as you hope it to be. Let's be good to one another. Let's be good to ourselves. And that's that.
Excellent. Professor.
Right. Yeah, it's just an ode to over 100 episodes for our post crew. Thank you all for rocking with us, not just this year, but in previous years. We have more to come. And the last thing I want to say is free Russell Wilson. Peace.
Now when he signed that contract, he there. He in Denver for life.
Wow.
Life, homie.
Now that caught me off guard there.
Mm.
I just like to say for my final post, similar to Sense, wishing all of you a healthy, happy, successful 2023. Be safe celebrating the new year coming in, and make sure to reach out to family and friends again. Let them know you're thinking about them, that you care for them, that you love them, because you never know who might be suffering in silence and you think they're all right. So just let people know that you care about, know that you love them. All right. Again, a couple of quick announcements. Starting next Tuesday, January 3rd, the show will be changing the start time from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Still on Tuesday, still live each and every week, but 8 p.m. starts. Same great show, just an hour later. And please check out the 2022 Boxing Year Review. You can go to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. It's up there. It's in 2 segments. We had a great time with our man Queensberry, Tony, and Professor J. You get to hear me rant a little bit about my favorite sport, the sweet science. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our positions in sports with you. Please tune in each and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for our next live show. You can also download this show and previous shows via our Facebook page and YouTube channel, or listen to our shows on your favorite podcasting platform. Just type in Positions on Sports Talk Show, and you'll be able to find us. When you do find us, please do us a favor. Like and subscribe. Subscriptions are free. We greatly appreciate it. Hit us up at Positions on Sports on Facebook, at Positions on SBO1 at Twitter. Again, Happy New Year. Be safe. We'll see you next week. And as always, we greatly appreciate you. Peace.
Make a trade, Rob. Make a trade. Make a trade.
Trash.